inside that gas filling station. At the time of the blast, the man is said to have left his vehicle and then detonated his device by remote control. According to the security forces, at least 25 people were killed and over 100 wounded. A number of buildings close to that filling station were also destroyed. Rescue efforts were underway to try and dig out both the dead and possibly people who may have been trapped under the debris. The security forces also saying that they have claimed a major breakthrough by arresting a man whom they believe was responsible for the attack. He's also been implicated in the attack on the Sri Lankan team in the city of Lahore earlier.
Police in Scotland say they've arrested a 30-year-old man in connection with a suicide bombing in Sweden. Taimur Abdul Wahab, a Swedish national of Middle Eastern descent, was killed in December when his bomb went off prematurely. He'd sought to attack downtown Stockholm. Coming up here on Al Jazeera, as the political violence continues to rage in Côte d'Ivoire, we take a look at whether the country's politicians can bring an end to the fighting.
As the hot spell extends across the Gulf, we'll still make sure you feel refreshed.
Welcome back. I first want to take you to Australia, where we're watching the north very carefully. Now, this area has been seeing quite a bit of rain shower activity and flooding over the last several weeks, and what we have today is really no different. We actually have two areas of low pressure in this region that's still bringing quite a bit of rain shower activity. Anywhere from 100 to 150 millimeters per day could be the amount of rain that we see in this region. And then down towards the south, you see this area of activity right here? Well, that was some severe thunderstorms that pushed through the northern part of South Australia. Now, that is still going to be a problem as it makes its way just towards the east of Adelaide. It's going to bring down those temperatures, but Adelaide did see quite a bit of significant rain over the last 24 hours. Ahead of the front, very warm conditions. You can see we're looking into the mid to upper 20s for Brisbane as well as Sydney. Well, across the United States, we are in spring season, and that's causing some problems on its own. Up here towards the northeastern part of the United States, we saw some rain, and that had fallen over snow, and this is what it looked like. This rain actually melted the snow on the ground. We saw some significant flooding here in the state of Connecticut. Now, that's still going to be a problem as we move into the next day or so. The heavy rain shower activity is still going to be a problem as we look down towards the south. You can see Atlanta at 17, Miami at 27, but Dallas will be about 20 degrees for them.
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
A history of guerrilla warfare, a place on the global stage. They were an organization created for a stateless population. But before fighting for their land, why did the PLO fight for independence from their Arab neighbors? Chronicling the turbulent story of the struggle for a Palestinian homeland, PLO, History of a Revolution, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Hello, welcome back. You're with Al Jazeera. Let's remind you of our top story. Libya's Opposition National Council says it's considering an offer from Colonel Gaddafi to step down if he can avoid prosecution and keep his assets. But state television has denied that such an offer was made, and the government is rejecting the news as absolute rubbish. Britain and France are pushing ahead with plans for a UN-backed no-fly zone over Libya. But China has said Libya's sovereignty must be respected, suggesting it would veto a resolution. Meanwhile, Gaddafi's forces are still launching airstrikes on Libya's rebel-held towns. AlJazeera is reported to be surrounded by government forces, and in Ras Lanuf, witnesses say residents are fleeing as the town is hit by aerial attacks. Well, I spoke to one rebel fighter in Ras Lanuf, Khalid, a short time ago.
Now, so we can see two airplanes are in the sky. They are moving above us, and we don't know what time they will strike us again. Revolutionaries are very brave. They are not afraid, but they are taking their places behind some hills and some anti-plane missiles. We are trying they're trying to shoot their planes in the sky, and a very big battle now is very big fighting now in Bin Jawad. Since 2 hours ago started, Gaddafi troops, they attack Bin Jawad, and the revolutionaries are trying to send them back to Al-Wadi Al-Ahmar. Gaddafi now is playing in the injury time because he knows that from now at any time maybe no flying zone will take place.
Former Iranian President Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani has lost his position as head of the powerful clerical body which chooses Iran's supreme leader. Rafsanjani had chaired the Assembly of Experts since 2007, but he was criticised for being too close to the reformist movement and was seen as a bitter political enemy of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Let's speak more on this with Mohammad Marandi, a professor of American Studies and Political Science at Tehran University. Good to have you with us. Basically, what did this come down to? Did he lose his post because he was seen as being too close to the reformists?
Well, I think it's a long story. Mr. Rafsanjani began losing a lot of his popularity in the 90s because it was perceived that some people around him, including some family members, were taking advantage of his position. And in post-revolution Iran, there's a lot of sensitivity about that sort of thing. And when he lost the presidential election to Mr. Ahmadinejad, that was partially because people did not view him as positively as in the past. After he lost to Mr. Ahmadinejad 6 years ago, he was extremely hostile towards the new Iranian president, and many religious figures and politicians felt that that had sort of clouded his judgment. So he began losing his position among politicians and senior officials as well. So
but do you think the final nail in the coffin was the fact that he did tacitly support Ahmadinejad's rival in the last presidential election? I mean, that's something that Ahmadinejad was not likely to forgive.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think it has much, Mr. Ahmadinejad doesn't have a role in this, but there is no doubt that one reason why, in fact, Mr. Ahmadinejad won so big, to the surprise of many people in the West, was because his rival, Mr. Mousavi, was perceived by many Iranians as being backed by Mr. Rafsanjani, and that helped Mr. Ahmadinejad to a great degree. So it's been widely perceived that Mr. Rafsanjani over the years, and especially in the last couple of years, has lost a lot of his credibility and power. But this move today was more symbolic.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I mean, it is going to lead to a lot of criticism because it comes at a sensitive time, doesn't it? Given that the leaders of the Green movement, including Mousavi, have been under house arrest for the past few weeks.
I don't think so. Mr. Rafsanjani, as I said earlier, he's not extremely popular because of what happened in the 90s.